Today's podcast is sponsored by Security Unlocked, a new podcast from Microsoft focusing on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and security. Check out those links in the delicious description below.
Happy Tom Brady Day, Brad. Hope you're celebrating with the rest of us, the greatest of all time.
Oh, I was watching the whole thing last night. I watched it all the way to the end.
I like seeing pretenders being taken down. Like last year's Super Bowl, I'm sure if you were to rewind this podcast and find the episode after the Super Bowl, I would have described it as the worst Super Bowl game played in history. Two terrible teams duking it out. Somehow one of them is going to walk away a champion. But this year was a little different, wasn't it? A little different.
You know, I don't think the defensive line of Tampa Bay is going to get enough credit in this victory. Don't get me wrong. Tom Brady
This is what you just said is beautiful, because my sister, who doesn't know anything about football, literally in the middle of the game said, aren't there people who are supposed to be stopping him from getting hurt? Meaning KC, quarterback, but who, by the way, I referred to as the KFC last night because they were finger licking good.
Yeah, Mahomes did not have a great evening. It honestly felt a little bit like watching the Bengals, because the Bengals have no offensive line. Like, the problem is that the Bengals get that, or Joe Burrow got that experience against every team, not just one team.
He looked like Tim Tebow last night, just running around in circles.
That's all he could do.
What the hell? I'll just throw it in the air and see what happens.
Yeah.
And you know what happens? No touchdowns, Brad. That's what happens.
Yeah, I mean,
no touchdowns.
Tampa Bay defense was, I mean, they were phenomenal. Because Mahomes is good, but like
even the 85-86 Patriots scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, didn't they? I mean, when was the last time?
Did you see the stat? And Tom Brady broke this, but in his 10 Super Bowl appearances, or 9 of them, the previous 9, he had never scored in the first quarter.
First quarter. Oh no, trust me, I'm well versed with that stat. I pointed that stat out during the game, and I know. A lot of ghosts were exiled during that game. Let me tell you.
Yeah. The question is he coming back?
You know he's coming back.
Yeah, I think so.
This guy's an automaton. After they came back and beat Atlanta a couple of years ago, I was like, dear God, would you frickin' retire, please? Like, just go out on top.
Who is the receiver from Detroit that just got admitted to the Hall of Fame? What is his name? Oh, God.
I should know that. Why do you ask?
Wide receiver Hall. You'll see here in a second. It's a very tech-oriented podcast. Calvin Johnson. So Calvin Johnson's career started after Tom Brady. He played 9 seasons, got into the Hall of Fame, and Tom Brady is still playing and winning Super Bowls.
I know. Is there a sportsman or sports person of any stripe, of any sport, who has destroyed 4 generations of his opponents? 4. Think about it.
Well,
just think about it. It's inconceivable. It would be like Bill Russell coming back and winning a championship, this year.
Can you imagine being Gronkowski? He was at the Super Bowl last year watching like other teams play, and Tom calls him like, "Hey, you want to go win another one?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And then they just go.
But speaking of which, did you see the T-Mobile ad?
No.
Where it's like, so Tom Brady, you got to go watch this. It's beautiful. Tom Brady calls Gronkowski. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna leave the Patriots. I don't know what to do." And he's like, "Oh my God, you should retire. It's like a second champion. It's like winning a championship again. Your feet will be in the sand." He goes, "It's the best." Blah blah blah. And then he goes, it's a whole conversation. Then it's like, here's what Tom Brady heard on his terrible 4G connection. He's like, "Don't retire. Come to Florida. I'll join you." And he's like, "All right, we're going to Florida." and then he's like, "We're going to win another championship. And Gronkowski's coming with me." And Gronkowski's sitting on the couch watching the news thing. And he's like, "Mom, where are my football shorts?"
I missed that one. That was actually pretty good.
You got to go look this up. It's beautiful. It's really well done.
Oh God, it was So
anyway, good to see a nice
that was good
in a Super Bowl for a change.
It wasn't even a good game though. Like,
it depends on which side you were rooting for.
Yeah, like if you're wanting Tom Brady,
here's what I'll say, just as a Patriots fan and a Tom Brady fan, obviously. The one thing that guy had never gotten until yesterday was a clear-cut victory in a Super Bowl game. Like every one of his Super Bowls were like really hard fought and were nail biters and were horrible. And a lot of them were just bad games. Like they were like the best team of all history to that point, and drop their worst game of the season in the Super. This happened routinely, like, as you pointed out. Never scored a touchdown in the first quarter in any of those 9 appearances. Yesterday was the game I had been asking for years for him, and really for the Patriots, but which was, could they just waltz into this thing as the greatest team that they are and just win? Like, this is a team that, like, during the regular season has no problem beating anybody, and they get to the Super Bowl and it looks like a bunch of kids running around bumping into each other with their giant helmets, you know. So he finally got that game. I you know, and again, none of us are Tom Brady. A lot of it, it's like, seriously, retire? Could you? But
why?
You just kind of know he's. I know.
It's not like he had a bad game. Like, it's not like he went out there and kind of scrubbed. Like, he went out there and
he had a great game. He didn't get picked off once.
The only.
By the way, that's actually really rare.
Yeah.
But I mean, seriously, that's incredible.
I think the biggest concern, realistically, isn't that he would be good enough. It's that he would just get hurt, right?
Of course.
I mean, that's the bigger, I think, threat than anything else.
I was thinking that, honestly, for both quarterbacks last night, because, your mind drifts because it was, such a blowout. But I was like, what would the tenor of this game be if either one of these guys was injured, right? Because KFC was not protecting the quarterback at all. And then, sorry, I'm never going to stop doing that. And, Tom Brady is, I mean, if he hit the ground hard enough, he would probably shatter. So, like, what would happen if either one of those guys got injured,
Yeah. I don't know. I think the best meme that came out of this is that following the wins, Tom Brady's going to go enjoy his one chocolate chip of 2021 and then go right back to eating.
Still just savor that thing under his tongue before he goes on a diet.
Yeah, sure. Whatever. Other diets that are happening that might be vaguely more interesting to people who don't care about sports well is Microsoft officially announced that on the 9th. Well, they announced that already. On the 9th, Legacy Edge will be going away. But then they announced late on Friday or wherever that they're going to be pushing a cumulative update that will go and snatch that from the jaws of life, and they're no longer going to support it.
Let me ask you a question, because I'm actually a little surprised by this reaction, although in retrospect, maybe I shouldn't be. There is some group of users, right? Some subset of the user base, right? Probably the enthusiast types, because honestly, why would a normal person care about this at all? Who sees Microsoft force-feeding the new version of Edge into Windows and thus onto people's computers as some evil deed, right? Like akin to malware. Mm-hmm. Whereas my opinion of this is Edge is a Windows component, and it has been updated to a dramatically better version. But whatever, it's been updated. It doesn't matter, good, bad, or indifferent. So, yeah, they're getting rid of the legacy version and replacing it with the modern version, right? I don't understand having an issue with this. But some people do. I mean,
I don't, but I'm going to ask you a question here in 1 second. But first, before we do that, Paul, friends over at my friends over at Microsoft, if I could enunciate correctly, evangelist Nick and Natalia have a new podcast called Security Unlocked, where they take a closer look at the latest innovations in threat intelligence, security research, and data science with a special focus on demystifying artificial intelligence and machine learning. And in episode 12, they talk about your passwords here, which is kind of important things you should know about, including going passwordless and the mechanics behind that. So you should go take a listen to that episode. You can find those links down in the description.
I just started working on the accounts chapter in that Windows 10 book that I do. And I was thinking about that too. Like one thing that's really shifted for me over the years with regards to Windows 10, just to go off on a sidetrack here real quick, is back in the day, meaning like a few years ago, I used to recommend that people sign in the first time with just a local account and then switch to a Microsoft account after they've done some kind of configuration. Now, depending on the version of Windows 10 you get, and the edition, I guess, that's actually impossible now, roughly speaking, or unless you're offline or whatever, because they don't even give you the opportunity to sign in with a local account, or they make it really, really hard. But the truth is, the benefits of doing that are, important. So now I just sort of assume most people are going to be signing in with a Microsoft account. But the password list thing is really interesting. And if anyone's ever done this, and a lot of people listening to this probably have, you can sign in, you just type in your email address and it's like, okay, you're good to go. And then you just do a two-factor authenticate or a two-step authentication on your phone and you're in it. You've never typed in a password, It's the way to go.
Oops, I just broke
That's
the
all. Just, if there's the same people who are out there complaining about Edge are the types of people who are like, you'll get my local account when you wrest it from my cold dead fingers.
I almost just broke the background. That would have been bad. I was Trying to unplug the power cord and almost ripped it out. Yeah, the password stuff works. I mean, I use the Microsoft the Authenticator app daily, multiple times. Yeah. So, Paul, I have I guess it's a riddle, but maybe a question for you.
Yeah.
But you have to agree to certain assumptions here. So, and I think you'll be able to agree to them. So, you would agree that Legacy Edge is dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would agree that Microsoft is abandoning the platform.
Well, not 100%. I just want to leave out the caveat that the rendering engine, Web HTML, whatever they call it, what do they call it? Web HTML? No, that's not
Trident?
Right. Edge HTML?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. The thing that developers use to render web content in apps, they are actually still supporting the old legacy version because there's so many apps out there that use it, right? They're not advancing it, but they are still supporting it. So, yeah, I mean, as an end user thing, it's certainly, yes, dead.
Okay, so here's the riddle or question of the day, Paul. And I've already asked PR.
Okay.
What browser is running on the Xbox?
Oh, yeah. Someone asked me this question on Friday, and the answer is Legacy Edge.
So it's not abandoned. They lied.
Well, on Windows 10, it is. Yeah. No, right. That's an interesting point because and it obviously leads to the natural follow-up question, which is, do you have any plans to replace that with a Chromium-based version of Edge? Right. And if so, when will that happen? And I suspect if you ask that question, they would say we have no comment at this time.
Well, we'll find out if they answer my email today about what it is they are doing with that. So,
yep.
Paul, let me ask you one other question. Actually, I don't know. How do you feel about snow?
I've been meaning to look this up. Someone asked me what was better, and I think they meant from a snowfall perspective, here or Boston. Now, historically, Boston has always gotten a lot more snow than this place. Since we've lived here, we've had up and down years, I would say. So last winter, for example, we almost got no snow at all. We might have had a dusting one day, and it was nothing. It was nothing on the ground. Now, we've had 3 snow events, I'll call them, in the past week. One of which was major, meaning 30 inches of snow where I live. The other 2 were, one of them was like 5 inches or something. And then we were supposed to get another 5 inches, by the way, Saturday night and I guess Sunday morning and, Sunday, whatever. And it really was just, thankfully, a dusting. But
let me throw this other riddle by you.
Okay.
And by riddle, I'm going to read what is because usually what happens over my house when it comes to precipitation, you tend to get a little worse because you're closer to the ocean, and then the currents will bring in more moisture. We're supposed to get like 3 inches of snow like today.
That's interesting. I don't think we have snow in the forecast.
It says total of snow accumulation is 1 to 3 inches starting at 4 p.m. this afternoon till 7 a.m. tomorrow. And I was really hoping that you were going to look it up and then find out you're getting another 18 inches, and I could just watch you slowly.
Well, let me look that up then. Now,
we'll go to the
look. Regardless of where we live and how much snow happens and yada yada yada. I mean, I think no, we got nothing. Well, actually, there's an 80% chance of snow tomorrow.
That sounds like something more than nothing.
A big percent. Yeah. So okay, I guess we're gonna wake up with snow. Of course. Anyway, snow is the same every year, really, right? First time it happens, you're like, oh, it's so pretty. Let's go for a walk. It's nice. And then the second time, you're like, we'll just enjoy that from inside, I guess. And by the third one, you're like, okay, when's the first day of spring? Like, I don't know. Here, look, I from a climate perspective, the reality here, I will say, is we really do get one more month of spring here than we did in Boston. We get one more month of fall. And so overall, it's better. Now, this is the 4th winter, I guess, technically, we're going into here. So 2 of these 4 winters, we've had major snow events, the type that I'm very used to from Boston. So, I mean, I'm just familiar. It's fine. Like I went to the gym Sunday morning. It was snowing like crazy. It was super icy and crappy out like near the house. And I almost turned around. I was like, this is potentially dangerous to be driving in, especially with, Pennsylvania drivers. But once I got on the main road, it was great. It was all clear and everything. And it was fine. So, and there was no stupidity that day, at least. So, and I've been dealing with this my whole life,
Relatable.
Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty, but it's going to be like frigid this whole week. And to me, that's a much bigger problem. just the frigidness. Like it just wears on you, you know?
Yeah, but things that aren't a problem is that today's podcast was brought to you by Security Unlocked. You can find links down in the description below or go directly to their site at securityunlockedpodcast.com.
I mean, 20 something degrees should not be a high anywhere.